Hey guys, piece of sheet right here. I'm doing a guide on jungle fiddlesticks. This is my first guide ever made, so bear with me, but let's get straight to it. So fiddlesticks passive, it's pretty obvious. It says right there, nearby enemies have their magic resist reduced by 10. Not much explanation on that. His Q, which is his Terrify, it fears the target for up to 3 seconds. Depending on the rank of it, obviously, and whether they have tenacity or not. Then the drain, that's a pretty obvious one. You drain their health, and you convert it back to your health, from 60 to 80% back, depending on the rank. His E, which is Dark Wind, you throw a crow at someone, and it will bounce. It will bounce up to 5 times, and it will silence whoever bounces. That's pretty obvious. And his ultimate is, you will cast it for 1.5 seconds, and you're gonna teleport to wherever you want it to, and it's gonna do a lot of AoE damage for 5 seconds. All right, so let's go with the runes. So for fiddle runes, I use this one. This is my Nivea rune page, but any standard AP rune page. So Magic Pen Red's the obvious. Ability Power Quints. You could go Movement Speed Quints, but I like to go Ability Power Quints just because it helps with the jungling a lot. Ability Power per level blues. People go with cooldown reduction blues. I completely disagree with it. I would go either flat Ability Power blues or Ability Power per level blues, because so your drain has about a 5-second cooldown and the last 5 seconds. So really, you just want your drain to be a 5-second cooldown. It doesn't matter if it's 2 seconds or 1, because it lasts 5 seconds. And your yellows, I go mana regen per 5. You could go armor, you could go flat ability power. I prefer mana regen per 5 because usually I have a solo mid that's gonna want blue, like a Nivea, Annie, or anyone. They're gonna start asking for your blue buff, and if you have these, this will really help. So this is my fiddle rune page. For masteries, I'll make a new one from the start. So I go 4 into ability power, 4% cooldown reduction, the magic pen, extra damage here, then one ability power per level, 5% ability power, and executioner. I don't get anything here. Smite giving me 10 bonus gold is pretty nice, but I'd rather go into here. Get my flash cooldown reduced. Improved recall just because. And 2 points into here for my extra mana, which is pretty nice. And this is really good. Swiftness right here. I'd rather get this than, let's say, 6 armor or something, because when you ult, you want to catch up to them. You want to be right there when you ult. You don't want people to run away from it. And the last point goes into here, which increases the duration of my blue buff by 20%, which is very nice for jungling, and not only for jungling, but in general. Now the spells I use is Flash Smite. There's no real alternative. People say you can jungle fiddle without smite. Yes, you can, but you need smite. You need smite for the dragon control. You need smite not to get counter jungle as much. You need smite for Baron. Also, if you're playing fiddle, you're probably gonna get counter jungle a lot. And if you don't have smite, they're just gonna steal all your buffs, which is really bad. So smite on jungler, like, guaranteed, no questions asked. And flash, because, well, flash is good, and you can flash after you ult. Now I'm gonna go over the jungle paths. There's 2 jungle paths, and I'm gonna go over the first one. Alright, so at 140, your wolf's gonna spawn, and what you want to do is you want to kill a big wolf really quick, and you can get it before blue spawns. So what you do is you auto attack it 3 times. If you have my runes and masteries, it only needs 3. Depends on your runes and masteries. So you auto attack it 3 times and you drain. And the last tick of drain will kill it. And you get back in time just for the blue buff. Normally you're gonna get a leash, but I'm in a custom game right now. Nobody can leash it for me. So you can do this without a leash, but if you get very low, it's still doable. I'm just saying right now, in a normal game, you're gonna be getting a leash. So I love this. I like to double my E afterwards because it makes jungling 100 times easier with it. So we finish your blue buff. That's pretty standard. Notice how I ran over here without getting hit by the golem because my drain was on cooldown. That's something that you should do if you don't get a leash. Finish up these wolves. And for wraiths, when you do is auto attack it once and then you drain it. If you're using my runes and masteries, you're gonna get that the blue wraith with just that last tick of drain. You do wraiths really quickly. Then you get your drain at level 3. Notice that you're pretty low on mana, but that's fine because you have blue buff, which is nice. Do your red, standard stuff. I did a little bit too fast. Yeah, I didn't have time. Notice how I never used my mana potion. I didn't have to. Again, I'll go over it in a second. Alright, once you're finished, 3 minutes, 53 seconds, or 350 or 4 minutes, something like that. That's when you finish, you go back, get your lucky pick. I like to get a vision ward and a sight ward because usually I play with retards that don't know how to ward. So I would put this sight ward about up here. Just because my top lane seems to never ward. And then vision ward is for dragon for later on. You don't have to buy it now. So I went back, I never used the mana pot, but again, I'll go over it in a second. Grab your fear level 4. And now you can right now you can either gank. So right now I'm not ganking because it's a custom game and there's nobody here. But normally, after finishing double golems, you could gank bottom. Or if you gank top, depending on which side you're playing. Or you could recall and continue jungling. This depends on whether the lanes are pushed or not, whether your team wants you to gank or not. Depends. Alright, this is the other jungling route for Fiddle.
30 seconds until
so we started double golems. So if you're on the other side, you would start over here, but the map's symmetrical. So you start double golems, you go to wraiths, and then you go to wolves, and then you do your blue. Now this one requires that you have a mana potion, and it requires that you have a mana regen yellows. If you don't have any of those, you can't do it. This is why I start with the mana potion when I do blue, because if the enemy does invade, I can just fall back over here and I can do this route. If I start with a Doran's Ring or a health potion at blue, I would not be able to do this route and I'd be screwed. So anyways, we start the double golems, and normally I would get a leash, but this is a custom game and I don't get a leash. So you drain one, smite one, pretty standard. Notice I auto-attacked. Notice how I drained the one I didn't auto-attack, because I'll be smiting it anyways. It's just some extra stuff. Then you get your E, because it helps your jungling 100 times better. Don't forget for the race, you auto-attack it once and you drain. If you're using my runes and masteries, this will get down to, you will kill us with your last tick of drain. It's very nice. Let's finish these off. You can actually do this without draining. I'm gonna save that mana. And I forgot to use my mana potion. I should have used it earlier, but it's fine. Notice how you're pretty good mana because of the mana pot. Runes. So this is pretty good. Auto attack this one to death, and I'll drain the other. Try not to use your drain too much with this route because you don't have blue buff. Now I leveled to level 2, so I have enough mana. I have enough mana for 2 drains. So assuming that the enemy invaded but they didn't take my blue, I can use blue right now. Just auto attack, notice I'm fighting it. My brains on cooldown. Smite at 495. Get that. Pretty standard. Get this. Now you're relatively high health. And notice how I did not use armor coins. This is doable without armor coins. So here you can recall and you can buy your stuff, whatever you need. I actually did this a lot faster. I did this a lot faster than I thought. If you're doing dragon, I like to get a vision ward. If you're not doing dragon at level 5, then don't get a vision ward. Alright, so I just finished the routes. I hit level 5 off of walls. And this is where you can solo dragon. At level 5, Fiddlesticks can solo dragon only if you have blue buff. If you don't have blue buff, you can't solo it. And I got a pink ward because I like to place it right here, and if the enemy doesn't have a ward here, I can just solo it without them knowing about it. This will depend on which side you're on. I can stand right here and do it. If I have a flash, I'm pretty safe here because I can just, if somebody comes and just flash over the wall, I don't die, I'm pretty safe. I do get a little bit low, because your drain's only level 3, you get a little bit low, but it's still doable. If you're doing, let's say you are on purple side, so let's say you're on this side right here, you can actually do dragon from about right here. And if somebody comes, you just run out. So this depends on which side you're on. Now you can either. Now I just ran out of blue buff, so this is pretty time limited. So to do this, you can't gank any lane. You have to do what I just did. So that's the downside to it. But the good side is to get a dragon out of it. So if your team is doing relatively good in laning, take advantage of it. If you did this route, you can do dragon level 5. Now, you can only do this if you start at double golems. Because if you start at blue, notice how when I started double golems, I got blue like 3 minutes into the game or something like that. And that means I had my blue buff just ran out when I finished dragon. If you start at blue, you'll hit level 5 without a blue buff, so you won't be able to solo dragon. That's the only downside to starting in blue. And yeah, now it's pretty straightforward. Either are almost level 6, you can either gank your lanes according to if someone needs a gank or someone needs you to hold a lane. Or you could continue farming. I should have bought, but... Or you could continue farming and hit level 6. Alright, now once you hit level 6, you obviously get your ultimate, and this what makes Fiddle really fun, and if you're playing against them, really gay. So before going over from my ultimate locations, I just wanted to show you how far you can cover your... how much distance you can cover with your ultimate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ult, then when I ult I'm going to flash, and I'm going to fear this double golem. But let's assume this is a champion. I just want to show you how far. So I can ultimate right here. Ultimate fear, I can flash and I can fear this guy right here. Notice how much distance I just covered. All from here, and get someone that's all the way over here. That's a lot of distance covered. Alright, and now this is my favorite part. I'm gonna go over surprise locations. And I call it surprise locations because when you play Fiddle, you have to get the enemies by surprise, and because I'm playing surprise party Fiddlesticks, so it makes a bigger ultimate surprise. But anyways, these are pretty normal ultimate locations we can ult from. You can ult from here, which will cover about this area. You can ult through this wall and gank whoever's here. If the enemy is right at your tower, you can ult through this wall right here, and then you can fear them or something. But usually the enemy has a ward over here. So if the enemy has a ward right here, obviously if you stand here, they're gonna see you. So what I like to do is, I like to go through here. Do not go like this, go like this, because you don't want to get spotted by the ward. And if your lane is pushed out, like this one is right now, you've probably seen this before. This is pretty standard now. You go in the bush, make sure this bush isn't warded. You go here, and then you do your ultimate on, well, whoever's there. You do a gank right there. And then you can probably yell surprise or something. Now another location I like is, this location is pretty common. You stand at raids, let's say your enemy is, just like this one except over here. Enemy is pushed to your tower, he's hitting your tower and there's like 5 minutes there. So what I do is you ult from here, see how the range is, you can ult over this wall and you can fear them. Now here's one thing that I really like about this. I really like it, ganking people at tower as Fiddle, is when you ult in, your ultimate does a lot of AoE damage. And it will 3-shot minions. So any minions are here, they're gonna die in like 1 or 2 seconds. So what I like to do is I ult in, and then I fear the enemy champion. It will also kill all the minions here. So that way, the enemy champion is feared, and they're gonna be taking tower damage because I just killed all the minions. So that's what I really like about Fiddle. He's actually a good defender, good tower defender if you have your ultimate. Also, let's say there's a ward here, or the enemy knows you're here, or they're always hugging this side. You can ult from here. This is not very common. Even though your range doesn't go past the wall, you can actually ult right here, and it will teleport you right here, and you can fear someone. Or you can ult here, and you can flash over here, and you can fear someone that's over here. You can cover a lot of distance. It's a big surprise, and I like that, especially with surprise Fiddlesticks. And this one, I really like this location. I've never seen anyone do this. First of all, if the enemy is right here, first of all, let's go to the basic. You can go around, you can go in this bush right here, and you can ult. But most of the time, this is going to be warded, or this is going to be warded, or this is going to be warded. 90% of the time, if you're playing against decent people, they're going to have this area warded. So what I like to do is I like to stand right here, right beside this tree. So if the enemy's right here, I can ult in. This is pretty obvious. I can ult in over here, and I can clear mini waves and kill him at the tower. But here's one thing I really like. You can actually ult all the way over here. So if you ult and you click somewhere right here, you will teleport. You can ult right here, and you can flash over here, and you can fear someone that's over here. So I just came from here all the way to over here. I can fear someone. So that's a lot of distance covered, and that is, I didn't mean to level fear, but that is something that's never really expected. Ult from here, you will teleport here just because of the mechanics. You will teleport here, flash over here, fear someone that's right here. And that, in my opinion, is the #1 surprise Fiddle ultimate because it covers the longest distance. Now, these are ganking at these outer towers. I'm just gonna go over quickly. This is pretty obvious. If the enemy's right here, you can ult through this wall. If they're at mid, you can ult from here, or somewhere. If they're here, you can ult through this wall. And these are pretty standard. And if they're over here, you can obviously ult through this wall. And yeah, that pretty much sums up the surprise locations. What do you call them? I like to call them surprise locations. Alright, now I'm gonna go over the skill order really quickly. I should have went this earlier. As Fiddle, you want to max your drain. So your drain is your #1 thing you want to max. It helps you jungle faster, you do more damage, it actually does a lot of damage in team fights or 1v1. After maxing your drain, you want to max your fear, because at fear level 5, it's 3 seconds, and that's really gay. Your dark winds are lasting you max because it'll only increase the damage. The silence is always going to be 1.2 seconds. It's always going to bounce 5 times. It used to bounce up to 11 times, but now it only bounces 5 times. And obviously you love your ult whenever it's up. So max your drained and feared and E. Alright, for item builds, we already went over this. The first item you get is the Kag's Lucky Pick. At 4 minutes into the game, 3 to 4 minutes, and the first time you go back to the jungle. I like to get Sork Shoes because they give you Magic Pen. They're really nice. Sork Shoes early on in the game is very nice, especially on Fiddle, because you have 10%, not 10%, you have 10 magic reduction from your passive, and 8.5 magic reduction from your runes. If you get 20 magic pen from your boots, if the enemy is not stacking magic resistance, they're pretty much going to be at 0, which means you're going to be doing a lot of damage. You could go Merc Treads, you might have to, but I'm not a fan of Merc Treads on Fiddlesticks. Cooldown boots, do not get cooldown boots. I will go over cooldown reduction in a second. I prefer Sork Shoes. But then after Sork Shoes, 90% of the time I rush Zonias. Now this is the reason. Let's say you rush Death Cap, and there's a team fight, doesn't matter, right here, and you ult in. Now you do a lot of damage, you have a Death Cap. You ult in, and everyone's gonna focus you. Every single one is just gonna blow you up. You have 950 health, you have 1000 health, you basically have no health. 30 magic resistance, 36 armor. You don't really have a lot of defenses, you have 1000 health. If you ult into someone, even if you drain for a lot of health, you're just gonna get instantly blown up. So even if my ult does 17,000 damage a second, if they blow me up in less than a second, like I'm basically dead and I didn't really do anything. So this is why I like to get Zonias. You do less damage per second because it doesn't give you as much stability power. But when I ult in, everybody wants to focus me, and I Zonias right before they focus me. So they're all sitting in my ultimate, which will do more overall damage because I'm still alive. And a lot of the times people will blow their ultimates trying to kill me. And if you time your Zonias, this is actually pretty hard. It's pretty hard to time your Zonias, and you have to know when to Zonias or not. But once you get the hang of it, if you time your Zonias properly, you can have Annie blowing Tibbers on you. I had an Annie blow Tibbers on me once. When I ulted in, and I would Zonias right before Annie blew Tibbers on me. So Annie wasted Tibbers. I had Janna blow ults on me. I had Gragas blowing ults on me before. It's just people, it will confuse them. It will waste a lot of their time. Then after Zonias, I either go Death Cap or Void Staff. Whichever one you go first, I'll go over it in a second. So after you get your Death Cap and your Void Staff, I like to do a Quicksilver Sash. Not always. This is situational. If the enemy team has a lot of stuns, have a lot of silences, or if you have a lot of trouble getting your Zonias in time, getting off that Zonias, you can get a Quicksilver Sash. And what that does is, it obviously removes all debuffs. So if you're stunned and you're about to die, you can just Quicksilver Sash Zonias. And this basically guarantees that you will always get your Zonias off all the time. Plus the magic resist is pretty nice. Something that might be viable is Will of the Ancients. I've tried it before, it's pretty good. I never really build it, but that's just me. I've seen it work, it's a pretty good item. You can try around with that. And where's this? Rylai's Crystal Scepter, that's pretty good because your ultimate will slow people. That's pretty good, it gives you health. It makes you a little bit more tanky, which is always very nice. But yeah, but the main build is Sork Shoes, get the Lucky Pick because it gives you good gold per 5. Zonias, Death Cap, and Void Staff if they have a lot of magic resistance. And the rest are situational. Like a Quicksilver Sash would be situational. Will of the Ancients situational, you could go Banshees. It all depends on who the enemy team has. Alright, and that was the item build. Alright, also when I was talking about runes, I said do not go cooldown reduction, and I said do not get cooldown reduction blues. I mean, cooldown reduction is always nice, but here's the thing. My drain, this is drain level 3. When your drain's level 5, it's gonna be about a 5-second cooldown. And your drain lasts about 5 seconds. So really, anything below 5-second cooldown on your drain is kind of a waste. Also, you'll be having blue buff. Blue buff gives you the cooldown reduction you need. If not, I prefer to get a blue potion. It's 10%, but it gives me enough. Another reason, if you look at Zhonya's cooldown reduction is 90 seconds, alright? This is important. Right now my ultimate is a 144 second cooldown. But that's my ultimate's level 1. When your ultimate's level 3, the cooldown is going to be about 90 seconds. So let's say you got cooldown reduction blues and you got cooldown reduction boots. And your ultimate's going to be like a 70-second cooldown, which is nice. But your Zhonya's is still 90-second cooldown. And really, I don't want to ult into 5 people without having Zhonya's. So really, your ultimate cooldown is limited by Zhonya's. That's one disadvantage of having Zhonya's, but I can live with that. So that's another reason why I don't like getting cooldown reduction. Because this 90-second cooldown Zhonya's is what I like to keep. Alright, I'm gonna quickly go over, really quickly. Zhonya's, after you get Zhonya's, you get Void Staff for Death Cap. This is the conclusion right here. You go, if the enemy has 100 magic resist or more, you go with the Void Staff, even if you don't have a Death Cap, because Void Staff will modify the 325 damage your ult does, or 225, and Death Cap only gives you better ratios. In here I assumed Void Staff and the Blasting Wand because Death Cap costs 3600 gold, Void Staff costs 2300 gold, so if you had a Blasting Wand, it will still be cheaper. So I'm trying to keep the amount of gold used the same. I assume the enemy has 100 MR because of well, obvious reasons. If you get Merc Tread, you get Banshee's Veil, you're already going to be over 100. So anything over level 11 to 18, Zhonya's and Void Staff will do more damage and will still cost less gold. It will do more damage. I included all these stuff says right here. I want to keep it short. Flat AP 44. That's 25 ability power from the lucky pick and 19 from your what do you call them? Runes and masteries. This is ability power per level, which goes into over here. Oh, this is all of the ability power. This is how much ability power we'll have. It's basically this plus this. That's what it is. And yeah, so conclusion is, if you still don't believe me, you can ask me for this Excel chart, but get Void Staff. If the enemy, or if your targets, or majority of the enemy team gets more than 100 MR, you go Void Staff. Not Death Cap, you go Void Staff. This mainly works for Fiddlesticks. For other champions, Death Cap will still be better. But yeah. Alright, now enough talking in the custom game. I'm going to show some replays. So this is one of the few replays I'm going to show really quick. Notice why I started with the health potion. This is a pretty old replay. I'm supposed to start with a mana pot, so assume it's a mana potion. So I get the wolves at the 140 mark, the usual, which pretty helps. Helps a lot, it's pretty nice. And then I was talking about getting a leash, and this helps a lot. You'll finish blue at like almost full health, depending on how good the leash is. This guy did a pretty good leash. And what I never really said in that custom game, what I was talking about earlier, is if you're on this side of the map, if you're on purple side, when you start at blue, you can hit level 2 and you can gank. So right now I gank bottom, and they're still level 1 and I'm level 2. I didn't get my fear because I like to jungle with E, but you can still throw that silence for the damage, and you end up killing the Cogman even though he flashed. And the Cogman must be pissed because I just blocked his ultimate from killing the Gangplank. But those are one of the variations you can do. And also, let's say the enemy is like a Shaco or something, where you know he's gonna go to your raids. Instead of going to your raids and dying like a retard, you can actually finish your blue and you go to his double golems. You don't have to gank. You can finish his blue, go do his double golems, and then go to his raids. That's only if you're 100% sure that he's there. Like, let's say he got clairvoyanced or for some other reasons. So here's another clip. I find it pretty nice. A lot of people don't mention positioning on blue up, but this is the standard leash. The guy's gonna leash for me, and I'm staying right here. I'm gonna be standing about right here. I'm gonna be draining from here. Do not stand over here because blue up's gonna run out of range. It's gonna run out of your drain range, and you're gonna waste the drain. So stand about right here. Blue up's gonna go all the way here. You're gonna drain it, and it's not gonna hit me until it comes all the way back here. So I'm gonna be getting even more free damage on it, and I'll finish blue at relatively high health. Also, I also like standing here because if I get counter jungled, which I will be in this clip once I play it, I'm standing right here and I get counter jungled. The guy will go like this. The person will go through here. If somebody appears over here, I can smite golem and flash over the wall, and I'm fine. So if somebody's right here and I flash over the wall, even if he flashes, he'll still be pretty far from me. But if I'm standing right here doing blue, and if somebody comes to me right here, if I flash over, he can flash over, follow me, and kill me. So that's why I think standing over here while doing blue buff is actually a lot safer. Because if they do come, you can flash over the wall and it's a 100% getaway. In this clip, I'm gonna get clairvoyance and you'll see a Jax, he's gonna jump over. Those are one of the situations where it's not the best to stand here because he could have flashed over and killed me, but I don't think he could have because his jump would have been on cooldown and I could have drained them. But you get the general idea, so I'm gonna play it and you will see. Alright. So I get my standard leash, so I start draining it. And works nice, hits it a bit. See how it goes back? It's not hitting me yet. Now I'm draining it, and Jax jumps me, I smite it, flash over, and I'm out of here. And that's it. I got my blue buff. Jax just wasted his ignite. I got my blue buff, I'm good. I didn't die. I only get about 15 seconds behind in the jungle. And Jax missed some experience up top, so it was actually not that great for him. Alright, this is another clip of me getting counter jungled. I get the standard leash, standing over here in the same spot. Gangplank's gonna come around over here, you're gonna see it. See right here. Yep, Gangplank coming around. So what I do, I smite and flash over. He can't follow me, even if he flashed over here. I get that distance. I didn't notice I didn't have to flash over this time because Riven was there, but I don't have a full replay of it. But yeah.
First blood.
This actually ends up being worth it, even though Gangplank gets first blood, because Riven got the assist. But assuming my top lane sucks and doesn't help, it's always better to flash over. Like it's really depends on the top lane if he's good or not. In this case, it was good, which is surprising because you never get a good teammate in solo queue. But alright, this clip is just an example of how crazy you can be with Zhonya's when you ult. This Zillion ends up being retarded and gets caught, but it's okay, we have a fiddle that can ult in Zillion's at their tower. And here you go. Zillion gets caught. I'm like, alright, whatever. Ult in, flash in, right in the middle, and Zillion's. And they took a lot of damage. And Zillion's at 2 health, ended up living. So we just basically won that team fight because of that ultimate. Alright, so this is a video of a gank before level 6. go down mid, but Sign has boots, so he gets away. So what I do is I flash over, I want to fear him, but I'm retarded and I don't fear fast enough. And Wukong comes up here. I'm gonna pause this for now because this is a pretty important explanation. Normally in a 2v1, or I guess 2v2, but my Xerath is out of mana, so it's technically a 2v1. Normally in a 2v1 you would run, especially when a Sign has enough mana for a stun. But the thing with Fiddle is that his Dark Wind, it bounces between people, and every time someone gets hit by it, they get silenced for about a second, or 1.2 seconds. So what I love about 2v1s as Fiddle is you shouldn't be that afraid of them, depending on the situation obviously. Because you can just throw in your bounce, and it's going to keep bouncing between them, and you can drain freely without having it interrupted by a stun, because they're not able to stun you. So I'm going to continue the clip. You can see that even though with my screw up flash and I didn't fear fast enough, so I'm going to get these guys because of the bounce. Alright. I'm out of sync there, but you get it. See how he was silenced and I got him. And Fiddlesticks very hard to play because obviously all I have to do is drain, so this guy wants to chase me. I'm like, alright, he's going to drain me as well. And that was very hard to do. And I was too busy typing and I didn't see the Sniddle, and I'm just like running like a retard. That was saying drain very hard to do. And then I fed Niddly double buffs because I was typing, but well, there's another lesson, stop typing. But you get the idea basically. Now this is gonna be another pretty short clip. Notice how I'm trying to ult if they do end up engaging right here. But I decide to go around over here and I get spotted, and the Siobhan obviously wants to jump me. So I walk back, not engaging the Siobhan because she's a tank. Unless they're fighting the Siobhan, I didn't ult yet. There's the Alistair here, all the tanks are here, I'm not engaging. This is pretty much basic, anyone should know, don't waste your ults on tanks. Now that Annie and Caitlyn are right there, Annie's retarded Mr. Tivers, so I can ult in onto the Annie and Caitlyn and the Shaker. And basically that's how you win. You wanna, I mean this is pretty straightforward. You wanna kill their carries, you don't wanna waste everything on the tanks. And when you do get on their carries, it's a win right there, because you just insta-give all their carries, which is what you always want to do. But anyways, this concludes my tutorial. Besides half an hour, I tried to make it short. I'm gonna conclude it with a video of me just draining, because draining is very hard to do, obviously. Why do you go in there and you drain? See this Kog'Maw? I fear him and then I drain. He exhausts me, I don't care. Zonya's the exhaust, cool. Drain. See, this is what happens when nobody has interrupts. If the enemy team doesn't have any interrupts, you just drain the whole time. That's when you don't have to rush Zonias, even though I did anyways. Right, all you have to do is drain from here. Guess what I'm gonna do to Rock? I'm gonna drain him. Yep, I'm gonna drain him. And any kill steal, obviously, but yeah, that concludes my tutorial. Thanks for watching. And if there's any questions, you can add me, ask them.
Victory!
Yep, thanks for watching.